Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was here yesterday to make his case for voting alongside Republicans on a spending bill. They've kept the government open after saying he wouldn't. But many of his colleagues, including former Senator Speaker Nancy Pelosi, still aren't convinced. Take a look.
I myself don't give away anything for nothing. And I think that's what happened the other day. We could have, in my view, perhaps gotten them to agree to a third way, which was a bipartisan CR for 4 weeks, in which we could have had bipartisan legislation to go forward. They may not have agreed to it, but at least the public would have seen they're not agreeing to it.
So I suppose that, do you agree?
Well, she backed that bus up over him. I'm kind of stunned by how much Dems are infighting over this. I mean, it was striking to me when Hakeem Jeffries basically declined to say that Chuck Schumer should be the leader. And now Nancy Pelosi, who worked hand in glove with Schumer when she was speaker, now openly criticizing him. But listen, I agree. I maintain I agreed with him. I don't think government shutdowns, I think they're bad for the American public, and he did the prudent thing. But honestly, I think he should consider stepping aside as minority leader purely because his messaging is respectfully disastrous. So yesterday while he was here, he bragged about how in 2020 he helped get Democrats elected. 2024 just happened and Democrats got creamed. He lost 3 incumbent Senate Democrats. The math is even worse for the midterms because 3 more are retiring in purple states that could very well be picked up by Republicans. And then he tried to make a point that I think was sort of a Bernie Sanders, they just want tax cuts for the wealthy. But he didn't say that. He came off like he was criticizing Americans for wanting to pay less in taxes. Most Americans feel like they're paying too much in taxes and they want to keep more of their hard-earned money. Right. That's evidenced by the fact that a lot of people are fleeing blue states to be in red states. If I didn't work in New York, I'd be living in Florida because I'd keep more of my hard-earned money. Like, that's just the reality, regardless of your politics.
Right.
And finally, he said, we're united in going after Trump. If that was enough, if being anti-Trump was enough, Democrats would have won the White House. You've got to proactively be for something. You have to decide what you're united in favor of. Well, and I didn't hear that from him.
I would go along with some of that. I feel like they should stop fighting with each other. I want to show some tape of these veterans who are protesting. This is a guy named Jay Carey, a Democrat who served over 20 years in the United States Army. And this thing went viral because, and he was screaming at this Chuck Edwards, who's a Republican from North Carolina. Can we see that tape?
Got nothing to say.
Thank you for that feedback.
I'm a veteran.
To be clear,
you don't get to take away our rights. You don't get to take our rights to get off this. You don't get to do this to us.
I mean, people like that will make a difference in this country. These are veterans who have been dissed by this president, President Bone Spurs. They're losing their federal jobs. The VA health care is being gutted. Mm-hmm. The veteran suicide hotline is being destaffed. And potential Medicaid and food stamp cuts would disproportionately hurt veterans. What happened to the Republican Party? It was always about the vets and the Army and the United States, the armed forces. And now Trump calls them losers. Remember what he said about John McCain, who was a prisoner of war during Vietnam, and how he didn't like him because he was captured. And this Republican Party backs this president against our veterans. I hate to make speeches, but my father, my uncles all fought in World War II so that we would not have a fascist in the White House. And this is what we're getting right now. And I can almost cry today for these people, these vets who are losing everything. Why don't the Democrats go out there and march and stop fighting with each other? I'm sick of it.
Well, I don't know, Joy, that they're fighting with each other. They're not fighting a unified fight. That is the problem.
The fact that Nancy is now out there criticizing Schumer, stop it already.
You know why she's criticizing him? Because he should have been fighting for that veteran. He should have been fighting for the people of America that are feeling the way that they are feeling. The Americans that I've spoken to, people that approach me almost every single day, say they don't feel like the party is fighting for them. This is not about...
well, that's what I'm saying. Go out and fight for them.
But it's not about... Well, he had the opportunity to fight for them. Chuck Schumer caved to the GOP and got nothing.
Right,
this was actually... This was not actually...
the choice.
But, Joy, the choice was not between a no vote on the partisan GOP spending bill and a possible shutdown. It was a choice between a no vote and forcing Republicans to explain why they walked away from that possibility of a bipartisan agreement. And the core disagreement was around a willingness to fight. even if that meant convincing the public that the harm from a shutdown was the fault of Trump and the Republicans, because they are going to do exactly what they are doing. They're taking money away from vets. They're going to take money from Social Security. They're going to take money. So let them hold the water for them. Let them hold the bag. Democrats in the House were prepared for that fight. Chuck Schumer caved.
They didn't have the votes in the House.
Okay, so it would have been worse if he didn't concede. It would have been worse. And that's what was surprising about Pelosi saying that, because she knows from her experience as Speaker of the House that the negotiator told Chuck Schumer he did not have the votes. He could not get the votes. He shut it down. And one thing that changed my mind is yesterday I called him on the carpet and said, how are you leadership when you only get 9 Democrats to follow you? But then someone shared something that made me change a little of my perspective. They had exactly the number they needed to not shut down. So he gave cover to a ton of Democrats that probably in common sense terms knew their voters would backlash if they shut the government down. And honestly,
he gave coverage to the GOP to do whatever the heck they want to do.
Nobody's fooling themselves. It's a minority. They don't have the math. It's just basic math. There are facts there. It's not an opinion. They cannot avoid this. And if they bent the knee and pushed back just to show the public they were fighting, we would have ended up worse off. They would have gutted it even more.
They're going to do it anyway.
Legally so, though.
Can't.
So right now we're in the
Yes, they
courts.
can.
We have more than 24 cases because of Doge and Elon Musk. I believe in the court system. I believe in the judges. I believe the one stopgap will be that moment. But when you cave and say, well, they're not listening to the rules anyway, well, you're giving them a shutdown, which legally allows them to do exactly what they're doing right now.
and they're
in
gonna
a
do it
shutdown,
anyway.
veterans would be harmed. They wouldn't get their VA
They're already
benefits.
being harmed.
No
one is fighting for the American people, and it's feckless and
Shutting
it's
down
weak.
the government is not fighting for the American people. It costs the
Give it a
economy
minute.
billions of dollars.
This man
People
has
don't get their
destroyed
benefits.
so much in 1 month. Give it a minute. I think that
Give them more time to shut
no,
stuff down.
I think that the Democrats are going to pull themselves
But
together now.
as
I
we
do
speak,
believe
the
it.
courts
I don't
actually
agree.
stated that
Every day there's some atrocity going on.
The
Every
courts-
day I wake up, what did he do today?
the courts just ruled
Yeah.
that more than 20,000 federal workers have to be reinstated because what Doge did was not lawful.
So, listen, be careful, because this is what they want. They want
Fighting.
this fighting.
Infighting.
They
Yeah.
want this infighting. What's happening now, Democrats don't have what they need to get what they want done. So, again, people have to get out and you have to march. You have to start making noise.
That's right.
This is now
Get involved.
coming back to us. The only way people are going to hear how angry you are is if you get out there. We've done it when people were being sent over to Vietnam disproportionately. We got out there and we made noise and we made a difference. We made a difference. We made a difference when it came to women's rights. We made a difference when it came to black people's rights. If we don't get up and get out there and start making the noise we have to make, it's not going to change.
Stand up
so
for the veterans.
I appreciate, I love Chuck Schumer. I love all these people who dedicate themselves, but it is now on us. We have to do it. You want to save your Social Security? You got to get up and you got to start screaming.
Because the
only way they're going to understand that you're not going to put up with it is if you don't put up with it. That's the way it's going to work.